Suck it. Just kidding. Hello, this is Zeke, and welcome to Zeke's World. This is season 2, episode number 2, and my guest today, the one and only Kris of K Digitals, a very talented photographer here in San Diego. How are you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, right on,
I'm
man.
excited to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you for having me on your podcast, too. That was fun to finally get to... I've known about you, and I've seen you, and it was cool to finally have that like conversation just to get to know you a little bit better, too, but...
Yeah, it's cool because like I like creative, but it's like everyone's doing their own thing. Everyone has their own clicks, right? And I feel like it's harder for me to like essentially like make friends with people, and so the podcast allows me to come up with an excuse to get these people to talk to me, but also like that's the point. Like I just want to learn how other people are doing the way they do things. So like it's become a good way to like network, but also like
Yeah.
I guess when I get coffee and price is weird, but say when you do a podcast, like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
I feel, and that honestly, that's kind of how I would say I follow probably a pretty similar formula to that
Yeah.
too. I guess it's a less intimate way than having like a coffee date with somebody.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's still, in a way, I don't know, you get to sit down like just, it's the same shit, but we just don't got a table between us. We just got a globe here.
Yeah.
But, so please tell my audience a little bit about yourself. Just about your business and the kind of photography that you're into as well.
Yeah, so my name is Kris Aguilar. I go by K Digitals on the internet. I've always kind of been an artist. But photography is the one thing that kind of stuck. Like when I was little, I wanted to make video games. Never did anything with that. Then I played in a few bands in high school.
What kind of video games did you want to make when you were a kid?
I don't know, like anything. Well, maybe not like sports games, but like I was really into like RPGs. Got really into shooters. I don't play as much anymore, but like I don't know if you play Dark Souls, but like really, even from an art perspective, like damn, this is a good, well designed like product.
That's a game that stood the test of times too, you know. So
yeah, definitely. And like stuff to me, like I was just into anything, right?
Yeah.
But I never pursued anything with that, and then played in a few bands in high school.
What kind of what instrument did you play?
Mainly guitar. Okay. I played bass in one band. But guitar was like the main thing I did.
Like doing like rock, punk, like what kind of?
All within metal. So like the first band was trying to be new metal. We just literally were like a Korn ripoff.
That's awesome.
And then I played in like a metalcore band. That's where I played bass. And then I played thrash for the last one I was in. So a little bit of a different gamut. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Hell yeah. Yeah. And oh shit, my bad. I totally interrupted you. Yeah, please continue on. Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Yeah. But it wasn't really working out. I was getting really hard to work with people in art. And then I ended up kind of slowly but surely being more exposed to like photography through like people I knew until I then got my first camera, and then that's where it kind of stuck.
What was your first camera you had?
A Nikon D3100.
Right on.
So crop sensor. About $200 off Craigslist.
Yeah, I had the Canon equivalent of the Canon Rebel like T5.
Yeah,
that was
my first Pokemon, right?
Exactly, yeah. Dude. Yeah, that's your Pikachu. You gotta love it.
Yeah,
I still have that same camera to this day. I just keep it. I'm gonna one day get a glass case for it because that's definitely where that's where I really like fell in love. Yeah, with just just shooting, whether it's photos, videos, just being able to create with this as a tool.
Yeah,
was something that really set it off for me. I was like, wow, it's possible.
Yeah.
So what is there like a certain moment you can think of, or maybe if there's like a person you looked up to that, like what made you want to get into photography? Like what pushed you into this route?
It's like layers of being built, right? Like so originally I would just, so I'll give you like a bit of like context backstory for like the seeds, because the seeds were there, but those aren't like the big drivers.
Absolutely.
But it was, that's a good question. So I had a neighbor who was into photography, and he would just shoot like anything like that was beach. So like bikini photos, surfers, just like really cool like photos you would print, put on a wall.
Yeah.
A coastline, a bridge on long exposure. And so I went with him on a couple shoots, and like it was just us like walking around, really.
Okay.
But it was just cool to like see the stuff he would take pictures of.
Yeah.
So that was probably the first like inkling, right? And then Instagram at the time, I would just take random pictures of my phone, edit, and like, oh, this looks cool. And then I had a buddy who so I once when I was in community college, I was trying to go to San Luis Obispo for my bachelor's, and so I planned to do a road trip up there by myself. And so a buddy of mine let me borrow his Nikon 3100.
Nice.
And I just want, I want to take pictures for like just to remember the trip.
Yeah.
You know, I have a phone, right? I just felt, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, right? Or like a real camera.
Yeah.
So I don't have any friends up there. I don't know anyone. I was there for a week, so I just walked around taking pictures and stuff. Like, oh, this is pretty fun. You know, this looks cool. But I didn't realize like I was onto something. It's just like, oh, I'm just doing something to kill the time.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it all like. I feel like that's how it like starts out. It just it starts off as just like a curiosity. It's something that's like, oh, this is cool. Like and then now it takes up 24 hours of my day.
Yeah, which is cool, right? Like you weren't. It wasn't. Cool. There was nothing to it. You're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do something with this, and then now you're doing something with it.
Which I feel like is for whatever you get into. That's a solid base foundation to get into something just off pure like just love and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
there's a lot you can. I mean, yeah, you can really expand off of something like that compared to if it's just like, man, I got to do this to get money. You know, it's definitely not necessarily a field for something like that. You know,
yeah, like you could do it, but it's very. I feel like it's very limited in like because if it's not working out, there's nothing to keep you there.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like it's not like even if I wasn't getting paid for it, I would still be doing this. So I feel like it's definitely one of those things where it's just you got to have I don't know, it makes you itchy, but in a good way, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how I got started. So I was taking pictures of kind of random stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I was in community college, I joined the school newspaper.
Okay.
Would just take pictures of stuff, but wasn't really like I wasn't the photographer.
Oh,
yeah. And I wasn't a photographer. I was more of a writer at really. And so every year journalism has their own like competitions.
Okay.
So went to
well, what school did you write for or do journalism?
El Camino College. It's over in Torrance, California.
Okay. Oh.
And so we went to like CSU Fullerton for the competition. And while you're there, you're you're doing your competition. Like, do a quick story. Everyone's doing the same story about the same thing that just happened on campus, but who's gonna like write the best story, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a photographer for the school, but they have photographers there from like different newspapers that would review your portfolio.
That's cool.
And like this be a reminder, right? I have time to shout out a guy in the newspaper who's just an asshole. Just like a bully, right? And I remember like walking by the portfolio people. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go show my portfolio. And granted, they said like it stops at like I don't know 4 o'clock, and it was probably like 4 or 5:30.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't go. They're not gonna reject. Like, just really just trying to pull me down. Like, no, you can't go. They're not gonna let you. Just stop right now. Don't even try. I'm like, they'll just tell me no. Like, chill.
Yeah.
And so I went, and they like, yeah, sure, let's look at it. Like, no one's been coming to us all day. Like, oh, okay, cool.
This is crabs in the barrel, man. They're just gonna try to pull you right back down. But,
yeah. And so I'm showing just like my Instagram like photos I took of like a Gatorade bottle it's black and white except for the orange lightning bolt, right? Where like a flower and like the flower's really saturated, and they're just going through and like
that sounds about like my first
where you first start off, right? Yeah.
As soon as you discover that saturation slider, you're like, oh my god, I can make everything look like fucking Willy Wonka. Like just crank it to 200.
Yeah, it's just like it's your first dabble in it, and
it's an exciting feeling. But then you go back and look at it, you're like, like you just want to like pat yourself on the head, like you tried, buddy. But
yeah,
it's the seed. You're right. It's the seed that was planted to get you there.
You could tell where people are on their photo journey when you look at their photos and how saturated they are.
I
If someone's lips look really pink and their skin looks really like orange, it's like, okay, you're probably still an iPhoto or something.
Well, and then you definitely like that between the saturation and the white balance, you can really like that gives you a good feeling. Like, okay, like which I mean, again, I love it. I'm all for it. That's
your style, yeah.
At least they're creating. I can appreciate that, but
yeah, it gets refined over time. But you can just.
It's ugly at first.
Yeah.
Most things are ugly at first. You're going to suck, but at a certain point, you'll realize, I can do this differently and make changes as needed. But
yeah, and that's something you just develop with time. Like your taste just gets a little more refined.
Exactly.
And so this guy's reading my photos. And so you're saying like, what was the thing that kind of landed, right?
Yeah.
I took a picture of a parking garage. And it's literally just like an empty garage, and it's just like very centered shot of like the garage from the inside. And the photographer is like, "Oh, you have really great composition work." And like, let me explain. Like, he got like super into like, so you did a very symmetrical shot. So the parking garage, or the parking space, like paint on the floor is like
Yeah,
diagonal, pointing this way, but the top of the garage is flat. So you have all these triangle, and like just got like, oh, I never even thought to look at stuff like that.
exactly.
And so that became really encouraging. And I ended up doing a ride along with them on a shoot. Um, and that was cool because I watched him just like work with. His name was Rob Gauthier. He's
Okay.
I don't know if he's still with LA Times, but he was LA Times photographer. Mainly they're like staff photographer, but like he always covered the Olympics.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we went to
That's awesome to get to like work like with somebody who's got that kind of experience too. Especially when you're
mhm.
first like coming into the game. It's just yeah, that's like your that's like your Michael Jordan basically. You know, you're like wow,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's like looking back, I'm like, oh shit, I can't believe I gave you an opportunity. But at the same time, like
yeah,
I've always been tenacious like that. And like, because back to my pocket, I'm good at like networking and like getting people's attention. By the time it wasn't, I didn't realize like I had that skill. It's like, oh, I'm just here because this guy asked this guy to let me in, right?
yeah.
And
That's cool.
so we're going to do like I guess there's a guy Hershey Felder who's like an actor, like a theater actor, and so he had to just do like a profile shoot for him. And we're at this playhouse somewhere in LA, and we're trying to figure out. And the guy's like very eccentric, right? And we're trying to figure out like, okay, what we're gonna shoot. And he's like, I'm just literally watching this guy work. So he's like walking around trying to get ideas. Like, okay, here's this. I could shoot this wall, or I could shoot this staircase. And okay. And the guy comes out like, hey, are you okay if we shoot in the bathroom? And he's like, okay, you're the photographer. And they're in the bathroom, and I'm like, why do you shoot in the bathroom? He's like, well, if you look at the walls, like the walls are really textured and give this really nice like painted look. I'm like, oh, I never like again, I never thought to look at
That's
stuff like
cool.
that. And
Yeah,
the actor is like, oh, what if I put like a toilet seat cover over my head? And he's like, okay, if you want to, man. Like
that's
he
awesome.
was such a relaxed guy and didn't take he took his job seriously, but he let everything else kind of just happen. And I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. Like it just
Yeah,
stuck with me, right? Um, I don't know if that's what made me want to like be professional, but like it was just this idea of like, oh, so this is what a real photographer does.
that's
Yeah,
cool. Well,
yeah,
especially getting I feel like I mean, based off just like the work you've done too, you definitely learned. I feel like you learned a lot from that. Just to kind of like let people be themselves. But like
yeah,
again, yeah, I mean, obviously your job as the photographer is to make sure everything is looking solid in camera. But then really, it's just to capture people as they are, which I think you do a really great job of too.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's I was talking to someone today about just that in general. Like their idea is like a career coach, and they're like, what she would ask me like, what's your legacy? What do you want to be behind? Like I never thought to think about that kind of question.
that me
And so I was kind of
either.
just like rambling to her, like, can I show you my podcast? Can I
Yeah,
show you? Like, I feel like that will speak better for me. And once I explained her, she's like, I think you're really good at creating authentic experiences for people where they could be vulnerable and just themselves. So I'm like, oh, damn. Okay. Like, I see that, but like,
and
you put in such a simplified way that
it's hard
tripped me
to.
out.
But I mean, honestly, that's something that could take your entire lifetime to figure out on your own. You know, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's easy to overlook those kind of things about yourself,
hmm
and then you tell it to somebody outside, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like this is." I don't know. It's a magical moment when they can kind of simplify that kind of thing for you too.
Well, I was saying, like, when I see your work, like, it's really professional, but it looks fun. Like, it
Thank
looks, and I was like, oh, like, how do you
you.
do that? I can't do that. Like, I don't know what I'm missing when I try.
But
But
no, that's like I mean I've but even at the core though I when you're working with clients to make them to let them feel comfortable so they can be vulnerable and just be
yeah,
themselves there is super important because that's I just like people to feel relaxed like I want it to feel like we're hanging out and it
yeah,
does feel like we're hanging out but the whole time I'm shooting you know
yeah.
but that's why I'm still having conversations so it's just yeah like just to create that like comfortable space for somebody in that moment
hmm
so they can truly be themselves because it can be weird. What's up?
Can you just make sure you pat the mic toward, like,
Oh,
when
my
you're
bad, sorry.
That was me. So I messed up again.
Yeah, but I think it's shit. Now I just totally lost my track. My
my
bad.
bad.
All right, no, you're good.
When you're on set, you're just
Oh,
creating.
yeah. I feel like it's especially if it's somebody's first time like on set or just
Yeah,
working together, having a camera pointed at them. It's an awkward feeling. Like if especially if it's something they don't do all
yeah,
the time. And I always say like the first like 30 minutes or so of a shoot, we might get some usable stuff, but like that's really just me like getting to kind of know that person a little bit, get them comfortable being in front of the camera, and then honestly after that half hour, things really start to open up and they start
Yeah.
like being themselves. They're comfortable, like, oh, what if we try this? But at first they're like, oh, just tell me what to do. And then once you
Yeah.
get them comfortable, they're like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, that's what I want. That
Yeah.
collaboration.
Yeah, because there are some people that will reach out and be like, "Oh, how much is it for a 30-minute shoot?" I'm like, I don't. In the beginning, when I didn't know any better, I would try to make it work. Now I'm like, regardless, we're gonna shoot for an hour.
Yeah.
Because one, we gotta count for breakup. We're breaking down, setting up.
Absolutely.
But like, we can probably pull that off technically.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a really rush back experience, and you might not like. It's just we need time to warm up.
100%. And I felt the same way at first too. I'm always you try to accommodate everything, and then you realize like, wow, yeah, it is doable, but it doesn't create the best results.
Yeah,
and
as a professional, you have to kind of step in. Like, here's why we don't do that.
Well, I feel the same way even when I go to do like music videos. Like some people, like a lot of people, only want to pay the 1 hour for like to just work there. I'm like, that's great, but like like the setup time, especially when I got to do like lighting and whatnot too. I'm like, I bet between setup and takedown, it's almost like it's got to be a good like 20 to almost 30 minutes, depending on how intricate the like setup is.
Yeah.
But also, I'm like, then we have to do run multiple takes, and then it just feels rushed.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I think if having that extra hour is perfect because you can shoot everything you need and you don't feel rushed. You have that breathing room. Yeah. And I think really having that breathing room is important to the creative process too. And I mean, you can make some creative stuff in a short amount of time, but like when you have that room to just be like, oh, let's try this, let's try that, you have options to work with.
Yeah.
Know? And I think it's nice having that time that's invaluable time.
Yeah, you know? Exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. So I wanted to pull up your Instagram too, if that's cool with you. We're gonna do a little scroll through.
Yeah.
And so I had some posts too, but also if there's anything you want to like shout out, I would love to if you have like cool like backstories to the shoot or like a specific shoot you want to talk about. And also definitely want to see if you have like a favorite shoot or concept that you've done so far.
What's a shooter concept? What do you mean? Like,
just like if you had a certain like concept idea for a shoot, if it was I don't know if there's like a theme or anything to it, like if there was something.
Yeah, I have those.
Yeah.
No, I'll let you pick some stuff first.
Okay, let's roll through it.
Yeah, and then I'll probably get the engine going. I could talk about the stuff I really want to talk about.
All right, let's see.
Tell me when you're ready.
Oh yeah, you can pull it up whenever. We're gonna do a little scrolling. I'll pull it up here at the top. This is his page. Go follow him. All right, let's see. I do kind of like. This one draws me. I'm just weird like that.
I'm glad you picked that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about this.
So very different concept. So the idea with that was so the backstory behind that is I had a client who wanted to do this kind of look. And I don't know if so like, hey, can you do something like this? I don't know if they were just asking just to ask or not, but I took it as like, no, but looking at the photo, I can imagine what that looks like, which is usually how it happens, right?
Yeah.
But I also, when I said that, I was like, okay, sounds good. And I'm like, I probably wasn't the right answer. It was honest, but he didn't book me. So I was like, so I got to go learn that now. And maybe I'll learn that, like I'll go and learn that lighting.
Yeah.
And then I'll pitch it back to him, see if that pulls him back in. It didn't, but it was an excuse to try, right? Yeah. So I had the studio booked and it was just gonna be me there, right? And then James in the first one, we're doing he's doing like a documentary for me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I have the studio booked because he wanted to check out Hendo Studios. Like, that's a perfect example for you to come and just see what the studio's like.
That's for people's first time. That's probably one of my favorite studios, at least around here, to like take people to because they get that full experience of it, and it's a fun place to work at too.
It'll set a standard for you, and it's
yes.
Some people say it's expensive, and like sure, but when you're trying to be professional about it.
I mean, and that's why I feel like because everyone sees they're like $100 an hour, but I'm like, it comes with. Well, also I'm like, one, if you book in multiple hours, you get the discount.
Yeah, and
then also it comes you get to use all the toys and tools that he has there at your. We're back. We just had to take a 5-minute break. little technical difficulty. It's cool. It's Zeke's world. You've been here. You've seen the bathroom breaks. You've seen the smoke breaks. We got breaks here. We're people. We like to take breaks. But we're going to get back into it. We were talking about Kris's Instagram. We're going over some of his posts now. We're going to get some backstories on some things and just generally talk about his work. But so we were here on this post. If you want to hop back into your story for this too.
Yeah. So I was saying like so James was from a documentary. So I booked Tendo Studios so I could just test his lighting. I told him, hey, it's available if you want to just come and see.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Freeze in the second photo. He's a Polaroid photographer here in the area.
Right on.
And I had him on the podcast, and we were just talking in general, and we are like, hey, like with you, like, hey, we should do more than just this podcast. Like, I told him, hey, if you're free, like this Saturday, I have there's what I'm doing. I'm testing out lighting. You want to come and just be part of the experience? Which turned to be like an invaluable opportunity because we already had an idea of what we needed to do.
Yeah.
But it was clear we are gonna have to just problem solve. He was like, "Oh, just do this, this, and this." Like, damn, like you saved us the entire hour in 5 minutes, right? Which then gave us opportunity to actually create more.
Which I mean, honestly, having like teamwork like that is invaluable because it definitely saves something that you would have sat there and like I've been playing around the whole time trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense how to get it. So yeah, those times are definitely you can't put a fucking price on them.
Yeah, and it's just cool because like I was saying, like the point of the podcast is like network with people and like learn, but like at the end of the day, I just want to like sit in the room with people and just like watch, right, or be part of it. So the fact that I had him and James was like, and then Courtney's there too, so it's just like a nice, cool, like creative experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just working with other creatives because then I feel like everybody gets to play to their strengths. And it's not just like you have to wear. Like when you're just working with a regular client where you have to,
you're everything.
You're wearing all the hats. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You actually can like, everyone can like do the things they're good at and you come together and that's how you make some cool ass projects.
Yeah.
So how'd you do, is this like, how'd you do the like fire effect kind of thing here?
Yeah. So the back is a projector.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
It's a projector on YouTube.
Nice.
They're different videos, but like, I think we just put like orange, like a lava lamp. Or like orange lights.
That's cool. I could see the kind of like the lava lampy kind of thing here. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then the green light is a snoot coming directly from above, and we have a green gel on that.
Nice.
You can obviously add that in, but the idea is always to get it in the camera.
Well, I don't know. I'm the same way. I love like adding stuff in post is always great, but it's so much more satisfying like getting it like 99% of the way there in camera.
Yeah.
I think it looks better, it feels better, and I don't know, it's just
that's fun.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I feel like it's a fun challenge to overcome, And I feel like from stuff like that you learn so much that like, and you learn shit that you're like you don't know necessarily where it's necessarily going to apply to.
But 8 months later it'll somehow
be like, oh shit, I see where this clicks in, why I learned this. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here. And also, too, I wanted to ask, so what is it about working with people? Because obviously you do all like do you only do portrait photography?
So I could do other photography.
Yeah.
I just try to market myself as this to keep it consistent.
I mean, I get it. It's fucking beautiful, man.
Thank you. Yeah, like I've done weddings, I've done events. Like those are kind of how I got started. LinkedIn headshots in college for people. But this kind of stuff is like funner, right? So I try to put the energy into getting good at this.
Well, I think too, just your ability to connect with people, and then also to be a badass photographer too. I see why you've went more this route because. I mean, you do a great job at it. So I think, it makes sense, man. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is kind of cool.
Oh yeah. So I did a pull shoot originally with Cheyenne, a friend of mine.
Okay.
And when she reached out, she wanted to do like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But make it her own, right? So instead of like literally copy what we do with Cheyenne, it's hey, I want to do something like that. I want to shoot in a pool. I don't really know people that do pool photo shoots.
Yeah.
and the ones that I have seen do that, they're trying, but it's not. I wouldn't want to hire them.
Yeah.
And so she had her own concepts in mind for it, and the idea was to do like this really kind of like moody, dark, like vibe, like in the pool, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the challenge with this one was when I did it with Cheyenne, I used like a Dre cast light like this, and so I had this solid light, right? So it's or consistent light, so it's a little easier to like understand what I'm shooting.
Yeah.
But here I wanted to use a strobe, and
So you did use strobe for this shot?
Yeah.
That's sick.
And so the challenge was just like just wasn't looking good. Like this shot we got, and we thought, oh, we got the shot. Like that's what we kind of want it to look like, but the lighting sucks. But when I came into on the computer, I'm like, oh, we got the shot.
Yeah.
But like an hour ago, I just thought we didn't do it. But it was like the light wasn't looking good in the water, or she was way too overexposed, and like the shadows in her eyes were bad.
I was gonna say, you guys shot this at night then?
Shot that at night.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was working with the reflection, obviously, of like the water in it with like the strobe too.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, I definitely. It sound like for like the person who doesn't actually shoot, probably is like, oh, that's easy. Anyone can do that. But I'm like, that is actually, it's pretty challenging. It's like trying to shoot like a reflective item, sort of. You're like,
yeah,
it's you got to get a little bit more creative than you probably think you have to,
Like for every shoot, I like create a slide deck and like plan out how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But obviously, when you're there, it's like, okay, it's not going according to plan. Now we gotta figure it out. In times where I'm like, especially if it's an hour shoot and like you already spent 10, 15 minutes, someone's late 5 minutes and you got 15 minutes set up, and then they have to change. Like, okay, I'm not getting it. Like I'm freaking out. But then we got it. I'm like, oh shit, like
that's
accomplished.
And that's why I think it is always good to like go in with some sort of plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as life, shit's gonna happen sometimes. Like you never know. Yeah, somebody could be late. You might forget it. Like your battery's running low, or I don't know. Just certain things that happen. And obviously, there's a lot of things that you do once, you never forget again. But
yeah, good scar tissue. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I think the first time I remember I had a shoot and I had 2 batteries, and one battery was completely dead, and the other one I thought was charged was not charged. After that, I went home and I bought 12 batteries, and I do the I never leave the house with like. Well, actually, I just goofed up the other week when we were at was it the Real Deal resin shoot?
Okay.
I thought I had my shit charged, and I looked down. I was like, I have 60% battery to shoot.
You have to be very intentional from that point on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was like.
You can't mess around. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's good to go in with that plan though, because it gives you something to like fall back on, and that's also, I feel like as a creative, you gotta find creative solutions as well sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you only have that certain time or a certain day to get that done. So you got to figure out a way to do it. And it might not be exactly what you're picturing, but I mean, even then though, sometimes it can come out even cooler than you were picturing it as well. So I think it's always good to be flexible and just work with the flow.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's see. Also, what is like, so camera wise, what's your favorite, like what's your go-to setup now?
Now, I'm not mainly, but my like loadout is like I have an 85, a 35, and a 135. I shoot a Nikon D750, and I bring all 3 of those lenses to a shoot. And usually I don't use the 35, but I don't like leaving it home because it's the opportunity arises where I need it. I don't want to not have it.
Absolutely.
I always start off with the 85 because that's like my portrait. That was my workhorse for a while.
Yeah.
So I'll start that off. It's auto, right? So I could get everything figured out. But the 135 is a manual lens.
Okay.
So I'll start with 85 just to kind of figure out what are the settings I needed to work on right now. And that way when I switch to the 135, I don't have to think as much.
Gotcha.
They're usually the same thing, but like at least I know the f-stop right away and I'm not fiddling with it.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of like, so the 85 was like the starting point, and then depending on the look, I'll bounce or cycle to a wider angle or closer. But I just like portraits. Like the more I do it, I actually like it. So it's like the 135, it's such a, I wouldn't say it's like an intimate lens, but it's such a beautiful focal length, right? Like when the
It
opportunity
really like
comes.
it fills up the whole frame, man.
Yeah, and like it's the person, you
Yeah.
know. And so there's part of me that like,
Which I feel like that too. That's why also I like your portrait work as well, because while you do have like beautiful things going on in the background, the like your focus is on that person, and I feel like
yeah,
a lot of times it's hard to do that, especially in color photography as well. I feel like black and white's nice because it really just draws you into that
yeah,
person. But I mean, yeah, I really like the way you do it, because the you still have the environment there, but it's not distracting.
yeah. Because like I know a lot of people want to use like the 50 milliliter or a 35 mil for portrait. It's like I just some when they make sense, they make sense. But like whenever I use a 35, it just looks gross to me. Like unless it's like the shot has to be a 35 lens. But if it's, I feel like that's only like a certain percent of the time. For the most part, you're never gonna go wrong with 85 or 135.
Yeah.
Um, but I know people that do 35 and it looks great. But it's like I just can't get that. I can't get the magic I want out of that.
Which I feel like, you got to find the tool that works for you, really. Because I
Yeah.
played around with a few different lenses. One of the lenses I played around with recently was. I'm glad I got to try it out, but it's something I probably would not add to like my normal like just arsenal. It was the I forget the brand name of it, but it was a 14 millimeter probe lens.
Oh,
Yeah,
for portraits?
no, not for
Oh,
portraits.
just in
No,
general.
this is just for
Okay.
for portraits. Yeah, I would float probably more towards like I'll probably float more towards like a 50, or I mean 85 is always
Yeah.
too. But I think for that probe though, you have like a 2-foot lens like coming off like the front of your camera.
Yeah.
Just looks like you're like walking around with like some sort of weird like science experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Which it was a fun lens to play around with, but again, like, or somebody else might shine with that lens. I did not make anything worthy of sharing with said lens, but that's what I think. But I get it. I think was it one of my like favorite lenses I had at first was the Sigma 30. That was that was like my first like real lens, really. But I don't know, I liked it, but again, I feel like I don't know. Sometimes it just depends on how you like to put your stuff together,
Yeah, agreed.
And then so how do you approach, like, do you like doing the shoot more, or how do you feel about like going into post production?
I like shooting more.
Okay.
But the post production is necessary, right? So it's, I don't know, maybe it's like shooting is like cooking and eating the food, and post production is doing your dishes. You have to do the dishes. You can't not do that. I think a lot of people hate that.
That was I love that. That was great imagery.
It's because like I'm leaving.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Because it's always, I hate when I see photographers post and it's like someone did it the other day and I just wrote it the wrong way, where it's like hey, for all the people that I shot with, I know I'm behind a few months, but I take real good quality in my editing, and it takes time. So if you shoot with me, you can only expect quality, but that means you're gonna have to wait. I'm like, nah, you're just not prioritizing people. Like, you're just not on top. Like, but the editing's good, but that's no excuse to 3 months later.
That's I agree, because honestly I've just from like some of the clients I've had now, and even like clients I still have like that I work with like on a monthly basis. That was their problem before. They were working with people and they would go and do a shoot and they might not get anything back for months.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's no communication between, like, and I get things come up, but like I feel like you also, as like, you have to be an artist and you also have to be a business owner too.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to communicate with your clients. Like, if something's going on, you have to give them an idea of a timeline of when they're going to, because they're investing their time and their money into you as well. So I feel like you got to give them the respect of just communicating with them.
Yeah, I think you said it on another podcast where you're like, it's like I think you described it as like delivery. It's like, if like you tell your client it's gonna like, this try gonna take not that long, but tell your clients to take like 4 weeks and then do it in 5 days, and you're gonna build your brand fast.
Always, you can never go wrong with under promising and over delivering.
Yeah,
it's just because if you tell somebody it's gonna take 2 weeks and you get it back to them, in a couple of days, whatever, like, they're going to be so stoked with that compared to if you're like, yeah, I'm going to get this back for you and like right tomorrow. And then
Don't
it's
say
like 2
that.
months later, you know, exactly. I'm like, don't make
Yeah.
promises when you're feeling good in the moment.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. It's
Yeah.
better like give yourself the time to breathe too, because shit happens. Like things come up. That's why it's good
It
to give
always
say
happens.
the
Yeah.
2 weeks, because like you don't know, something could happen where you're like, damn, now it is actually going to take me 2 weeks. But like,
Yeah.
but now you gave yourself that buffer time, and also your client's not going to be pissed off at you because they know, hey, they said it might take up to 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
if it takes up to 2 weeks, then that's what it takes them. But there, at least there's communication. There's an understanding on both parties of what to expect.
I think a lot of creatives are really good creatives, but they're really bad professionals,
Absolutely.
which are two different like brain hemispheres, right?
Definitely.
And I think the idea is like, especially when you're just getting started and you don't know any better, you realize, you know, what it's like to have clients, right?
Yeah.
And which is and you know, client. I mean, some clients are cool, but there always gonna be clients, right?
Yeah, there's always gonna be that bad apple in there, but that's just how
Yeah.
it goes.
And so if you're not used to communicating, holding yourself accountable,
Yeah.
and like it's not just owning when you mess up, but owning like, okay, I made the mistake of telling this person a week, so now I have to deliver in a week. Like,
Yep.
cool, I'm gonna have to just figure it out, and that's stressful, but that comes with
But see,
wanting
the only thing
to.
is, a lot of people don't even do that. They'll say a week, and they're like, "Oh, fuck, it's gonna take me longer than that." But then they don't communicate that, and they just let it sit, and nothing happens.
Well, so in a
Yeah.
funny way, it's like before I used to be preachy and like, here's what people should work better. Some people should like how we're talking. Some people should hold themselves better standard. Like, wait a minute, no, because if they do bad, that makes me look better. Like I did a shoot with someone the other day, and she was saying, "Hey, it's okay. You don't have to try hard. Just one good photo is all we need." And
Yeah.
like, hey, like I understand what you're saying. Yeah, don't worry, we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
But then she texted me after, and I posted. I have like a highlight on my Instagram now, where it's like, this is the first shoot I ever done where like there's so many photos that are good I can't pick, and it's like,
That's awesome. That's a good problem to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, but because I've also been there. I'm not saying I've always been good, right?
Yeah.
I had my scar tissue.
But that's how you
Yeah.
have to fuck up to then, because once you fuck up, then you realize you're like, this is what I have to change to
Yeah.
push past that point, you know?
And so when she was describing that, it's like, I know she's not saying that to be nice. She's like, she's being honest. Cause like, yeah, I know those people too. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, great. But that makes everything feel so much better for her. So when she
Yeah.
wants to show us photos again, I already have that
Yeah.
brand to return to.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think what we were talking about before, that like how it is two different worlds, being in the business world and being creative. But also I think it's one of those things that if you are charged, like people are investing their money into you.
It's a lot of money.
And that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
they're investing, like
Yeah.
not only that, they're investing their time into this. Like it's just it's great to be an artist and it's great to care about that kind of stuff. But if you're getting into this as a business, as you're generating income off of this,
Yeah.
your client is your number one. Like your client satisfaction should be your number one goal.
Because
Like that's,
like you said, time, right? It's
they
like,
could go with, and there's so many other people that do what you do, and they took the chance. They
On
took
you.
that chance to invest in you.
yeah.
So you have to give, like, I just feel like you got to give them that respect back by doing what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, by when you said you're going to do it.
Yeah. Cause it's so much more than just like paying for the hour. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
if it's a parent, they had to find daycare, they had to take time off work, they had to cancel something else, they had to get, they did the makeup themselves, they went and got a makeup artist, and they got a hairstyle, and that took another appointment. And like when they come to shoot with you, and maybe they have like cuts on their arms, or like they're not feeling good, like
Yeah.
there's so much
You got to be a
on the
therapist a
line.
little bit sometimes too, you know?
Yeah.
So
And for you to like not take it seriously, like there's so much more than just like the 150, 200, 300 bucks they spent on you. It's they invested realistic, maybe like $1,000 worth of their time.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're like, well, it's my gear. I know what I'm doing. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, don't be like that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's good to know, like, you can still be an artist and have fun, but you can also then, like, you can still be serious about business too at the same time. Like,
yeah,
you have to find that balance, because the love and the creativity, that side of it is what brought you in to where you're at, you know? But then you also do have to, like, take a step back and realize, like, all right, cool. Now I'm these people are investing in me. They trusted me with their time. They trusted me with this project. So I have to give them this time back as well. Like,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I like that you put it that way. Yeah.
It's I don't know, because I feel like one of my clients, he was when I was working with India Palace
Okay.
on the road. He's had a handful of people coming before me that are just promise him the moon and then like maybe give him like a bag of Cheetos, you know?
Is that
Like,
the restaurant?
yeah, the
He did
restaurant.
some really funny, cool videos with that guy.
Dude,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That was my first. Yeah, I am like fully into the Indian TikTok scene now because I was like just
Okay.
from like watching like different stuff for him and helping him create like different reels. So I was like, I don't really know much about this, but I love it. It's fun,
Mhm.
and I don't know. He's a fun guy to work with too. He just
Yeah.
likes being goofy and making stuff. So I was like,
Yeah.
and honestly, I'm the same way. So when we come together, it's always fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I feel like it's fun when you like. And that's why I don't like to just like look at it as like a one time. I hope I don't just work with somebody just one time. You know, ideally, I hope this becomes like
A relationship.
like yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I mean. I don't because I feel like I don't want people to just be like, give me your money and like fuck off. We don't talk to each other again. Like
Yeah.
I don't. That like doesn't. I don't know. I don't think repeat business is where it's at. One from a business standpoint, also just to keep building that relationship. And then once
Yeah.
you have that relationship, you keep coming back together and keep working. It just things get so like they're so smooth because you don't have to get through that weird awkward phase of trying to get to know each other at first. You're like,
Yeah.
you know, they know how I work, I know how they work, and it always leads to more success. I feel like with shoots. you
Yeah.
know?
Because now that you're comfortable, the quality gets better. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's like then you're just talking as friends. You're like friends shooting together. Like
Yeah.
it really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see what else we got on here. Also, I want to ask you too.
Yeah.
What do you have a like favorite shoot, past or recent? I mean, past or recent. My same fucking.
Yeah.
Zeke, can you move your mic to your right?
To my right.
That way when you're.
Oh yes.
Am I
You're
doing
right.
that too?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. 'Cause I feel like I'm trying to.
It's always me.
Favorite shoot. I mean, the good ones are the ones to Cheyenne. So like maybe
Okay.
if you want to go back up to the top,
Yeah.
that middle one, the fabric one, like that one.
Oh, that is cool.
That one is really cool.
That
That
is
one,
really pretty. Oh wow, the black and white.
and I just
too.
that was me
That's-
being creative. I like
that's-
taking risks, but I also don't. But like this was me taking a risk. Like let me
Yeah.
put a 4-panel.
That's cool.
So Cheyenne's really cool. I feel like that's the person I get along with the most.
Yeah.
Because like we're just on the same wavelength in terms of like we're trying to create something edgy and elegant, but I don't need to like we just did a shoot recently and I didn't have to like really direct her.
Yeah.
Like that's what's cool about it, right?
I feel that's like especially when I work with people on like the same on like music video stuff. We don't. Yeah. Like that's. There's so much like you have conversations without having conversations.
Yeah.
You know.
Like there's video like BTS, but I look back on like we're finishing each other's sentences and like I didn't realize we would do that. And for this one, so whenever me and Cheyenne want to shoot, it's always like, okay, what do we like? It's really like how do we push the envelope again? You know, what do we do different? And so for this one, like usually we'll comment like tag each other in comments of like other people's photos. We're safe. Like, who do you think about this?
Yeah.
And we'll go back and forth maybe like over a month or two until we were like, let's do this and let's get it on the calendar. Usually we'll say yes, but then again the calendar becomes hard.
Yeah.
And so there's this photographer I think in Korea called Circus Bear, Zeke. And he did like a fabric shoot like this. Like, oh, why don't we try something like that?
Yeah.
And so and that was like usually we'll say yeah, but that one you could tell it like clicked immediately, like, oh, let's go do that. And so I went to where she went and bought the fabric for that. We have it suspended on like a backdrop hanger, right? So you have your two poles on the top, and then I just have it like clipped on top.
That's cool.
And then so she's behind it, and then her hands are in front playing with it. So that way, the idea I think I also got from Circus Bear, which is like she's obviously behind it and soft, but her hands are in front of it, so it's more color and like sharper.
Yeah, no, I like that. Like it creates that like just that contrast. Right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
That's cool.
And so that one, that became a fair shoot of mine. 'Cause I was like, oh, that's so different, you know? Yeah.
It's like super. I feel like even the black and white. I mean, it's a very elegant photo anyway, but that black and white with it too. It's just that. It's really cool. I love how it. Yeah.
Like I've tried to be more because everyone does it, right? And that's power to whoever wants to, where it's like they'll post like which one's better, black and white or the color. And it's like I feel like you should pick one.
Yeah.
Like, and because I times where I do that, I'm like, I don't know,
I feel
but I
like-
feel like I try to say like, okay, well, if a client was saying decide for me, okay, well, what do I pick? What as a professional, what do I say? And so I
Yeah.
try to intentionally do that. But this one was such like, oh, it's so hard. So I'm just gonna do 4-pound. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do 4-pound with like this. And
Yeah, that
then
works, man. That's cool.
give it a bunch of texture.
So do you? I mean, obviously, I feel like based off your page, you typically like to go more with like color portrait. Do you like doing color more than like you do like doing like black and white work or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for asking. That's a good question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like color more.
Okay.
I'm starting to appreciate black and white a little bit more, but so like black and white gives it a a focus, I guess, and sometimes the color looks good in it. But I just feel like there's more story to the color. Like I
Yeah.
feel like you take away the story when you. Some people could argue like, no, the story is more out there, but I just feel like there's a character to the color, and I think that's important.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And black and white I feel like makes you focus more on just the person itself. But yeah, I agree with. I mean, there's color for a reason, you know. It does
Yeah.
like you can portray a mood better. I feel like sometimes I just through simple, just like you have something that's nice and warm. I feel like it'll give you that kind of like I don't know, just a very like comfortable like I don't know, just I don't know like how to really explain it, but it gives you you can feel something from it, whether something was cold
Yeah.
or warm or
Yeah. Like I like to try to do a hint of orange in my photos.
okay.
But I've started to try to make it a little bit more natural. So like now people's skin, if it's like a white skin, it's gonna look white.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I like that too because you can definitely tell it's edited, but it doesn't look
Yeah.
over like it looks it's a very like natural edit to it, which
Yeah.
uh, I I I like crazy edits and weird stuff sometimes too, but like I feel like in the portrait world I see so much just straight up orange and teal shit all the time, where it's just like
Yeah.
it has its place, but I don't know. I'm like, nah, like everything looks like you just hit it with a highlight marker, you
Like
know?
the only person I feel can do it well, Sinzia, Stephen Zia.
No, I don't think so.
He's also San Diego. He does a lot more like glam photography,
Okay.
but he does a lot of saturation photo. Like you'll see like the sky is very turquoise, the skin is kind of very orange, where the sand is very orange.
Yeah.
But like it works. But like other people, I feel a lot of people try to copy him,
Mm.
and when they do, you can tell like it just looks saturated.
Yeah.
But that's his work is all saturated. But it just like but it's his like it works when he does it.
Well, that's what I mean. That's like that's his developed style with, and he's figured out like that's his look. Because a lot of people just try to slap some random fucking teal and orange preset on there,
Yeah.
and then they just call it a day.
Yeah.
And 'cause I have followed a couple different like pages on Facebook. I was part of like Build and Bloom like on Facebook too for a little while. I don't know if
Okay.
you saw that page, but I don't know. Like just sometimes on there, I'm like I feel like I'm looking at like you guys all went shopping at the same website for all the same like presets. Instead of like,
I there are very few times where I use presets. Cause I also like
which I don't think anything's wrong with presets, but I feel like when people are only like they're just slapping it on there like it's just a fucking Lisa Frank sticker or whatever. Like I don't know.
yeah,
It's
like it's I don't know. Like there's this sense where I'm trying to figure out how I feel about it. 'Cause it's like I like how I edit and that's natural, but there are times where I'll just like especially if I'm not in the mood to edit, and I'll just fuck around. I'll go to like the Lightroom presets and like I'll
yeah.
put VN01 on. Like, oh, okay, whatever. Oh, this actually. Oh, I never thought to look at it that way.
But that's why I love presets because sometimes when you are sitting there looking at it, you're like, I don't know what direction I want to go with.
Yeah.
It can spark that idea, and it's all. I feel like they are great. It can be a great thing to build off of.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I like this about the photo, but I'm like, I don't like what it's doing, like with like maybe like the sky or the trees or something like this. So like,
Yeah.
let's play around with that a little bit, and
Yeah.
that'll get you past that creative block when you're sitting there. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. So how do you deal with like creative block?
Yeah. If it's shooting wise, usually I just have to go book a shoot. And like I'll book my own shoots. I'll hire models where someone like wants to shoot, like and they're offered to do it for free. I'll take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But I'll do that and I'll try to do something like it doesn't have to be creative like the fabric one with Cheyenne, but it's like, let me just go test out a new lighting, or let me try something out, and just go with the intention of knowing like, okay, I don't have to get a good shot. I just have to be here.
Yeah.
And that'll usually reignite something in me. If I'm editing, a lot of times I'll ask my wife. I was like, hey, can you come look at this photo? Like, can you tell me if this looks good or not? And she'll like,
2 heads are better than 1 at editing. Like, well, I think it's always good to just have one person editing, but then to have some just other people come look at it, because
yeah,
when you've just been sitting there staring at the same thing for hours on end, you're like, you'll miss something that's like right in front of you that you just maybe aren't seeing.
yeah. Because sometimes it's like, I know, like, what do you think of this? Did I do the hair right on this? And like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. And then like, she'll look at it and she'll like, yeah, the hair looks fine. Like, yeah, it looks fine. I knew that. But I just couldn't make that decision for
Yeah.
myself. Like, I needed to say it out loud to someone, and for someone.
It's nice to have the confirmation too, to have like, like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, I'm not crazy. Like, it's looking like how I think it's looking like.
So that helps. And then there are times though where like, I just have to make a decision. So it'll be like, and usually I'll know when I post. As soon as I post a photo,
yeah,
I'll immediately say, oh, here's everything that's wrong with this photo. But I didn't see that at first. But it'll be like, okay, well, that's that. We're live.
Yeah. Well, and that's hard. It's hard too, I feel like, as a creative, because I mean, or just as a human being in general, you're going to be always the most critical of yourself. So I feel like you have to kind of throw the word perfect out the door.
You should like strive for it, but not hold yourself to like, if I don't get this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, don't sit there and beat yourself up if you didn't hit the goal that you thought you should have hit,
Yeah.
I think it's all about learning. It's a learning process. I don't think every day is you're going to have to, you want to progress a little bit more, but it's, I don't know. I always believe in baby steps to victory.
Yeah.
Not everyone thinks you go from here to up here, but really there's a lot of like waves and different things you got to fucking float through.
You got to be part of it. Yeah.
You got to eat a little shit at first, unfortunately. And anything you do, you're going to be low man on the totem pole. You're going to be small fish in a big pond, but it's okay. A little practice, consistency, you keep growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything, do you have any like fun backstories for anything here on Instagram that you want to talk about that you have like recently posted?
Can you just go through the photos?
Oh yeah, for
I'll
sure.
see which ones.
Scroll through.
Fun backstories. They're all cool. If you just want to scroll, I'm sure one will click. Like, oh, do that one.
Hey.
Oh, let's do the Pulp Fiction one. The cigarette. So the one, it's on the right with under my portrait.
I see it.
So that's also a Cheyenne. So that's one of those ideas of like,
that's cool.
So the reason why this one's so cool is like, so I like Quentin Tarantino's movies a lot. Like that's some like, so that creative block, I like just learning from other artists. I like watching interviews.
Is that like one of your like favorite like visual artists is Tarantino?
I don't know if it's visual. I would say just in general artist.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he's a
like I think I like hearing his interviews, and when I watch his movies, I can just like tell like, oh, there's something more to this that like it's resonating with me. And then when I start to dissect, I'm like, oh, that was clever. And so, but the cool part is like I just watched Pulp Fiction for the first time, like just before this shoot, right? And I posted this.
Yeah, man. All right.
So this is in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. Right on. When I did the shoot.
Yeah.
And so I watched the movie.
What'd you think of it?
The rape scene definitely like shook me. I did not see that coming. Like for days, I told my wife, like, why are you letting that bother? Like, I don't know.
It's a little too long.
Yeah. But it's like, but I feel like that's also very Quentin Tarantino. Like he does that.
Yes.
Because every other movie like I watch, I'm like, like this stuff doesn't bother me. My wife can't watch any of his movies. She just can't stand the violence.
I'm always the same way, except I went and saw, I don't know if it is Hereditary, that scary movie by Ari Aster.
Isn't that like Sinister? Or is it like the sequel to it?
No. So this is like totally a different, like story here. But yeah, I remember like it took me about like a good like 2 hours after I walked out of that movie to like even just calm down. Like I was still like I went back the next day and watched it again because I was like just so it's like I gotta watch this again. I have so many unanswered questions right
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
rarely, yeah, like there are certain movies where you're just like, I don't know, it just, or certain people where you just see their work come out and you're like, I gotta consume it over and over again to really like, I feel like take it all in.
There's
Especially Tarantino movie, there's so many layers. There's shit you missed like
yeah.
first time. Like you go watch it and you'll like, I feel you can always find like something new.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's just cool, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's I haven't seen him post in a long time, but I think Vinny Piccone, he's in New York. And do you know like Flapper Zombies or the Underachievers?
Yep.
So he worked on like a lot of video work with those guys.
Oh no shit. Okay.
And their music video Miraz,
Yeah.
that's like
Great music
probably
video,
the
too.
favorite video I've ever seen. Like
That's
that,
awesome.
like in the backstory, that probably one of the like an early seed that was planted that like made me want to be creative.
Yeah.
Like when I go back and like for creative block, where I would just rewatch that video like 10 times in like one session. And there's like, man, there's so many little things like I just couldn't think of that he just probably like, oh, I just do this and that and that. I'm like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. I love Flatbush Zombies too. Those are I've seen them now like three different
really?
times now in
Yeah.
concert. Fun
Yeah.
dudes. But
Yeah.
I would love to work with people like that. But
Yeah.
and really it's like those little details that the general public will just miss.
Yeah.
But they don't. I mean, that's not what they're there for. People who are like sitting there really like trying to like take it all in, try to really fully understand it and like appreciate it. You know.
It's like now that I'm more behind the scenes, I see how long everything takes. Like
Yeah.
in the like Thug Waffle music video.
Yeah.
Like they have the video playing, they have the different lenses using, and they go from that to like the blue and red lights. I'm like, that's so clean, like clean transition, but also like they had to set up the light, make sure it looks good. Okay, switch the light, switch the gel, unless he's editing, right? But either way, like that definitely took a lot of muscle to figure out. And it's like, damn, they did good execution.
I feel like especially once you start like getting the further you get into it, like just whether it's on photo production, video production, or anything, like it's you realize how much work goes into make something look like so like simple and carefree.
Yeah.
You know? Simple and carefree on camera. There is chaos going on behind the lens to get to that. Nothing just comes out looking. There's even for like a 30-second video.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be days or months of shooting.
Yeah.
Like you just don't like. So much can go into it.
Yeah.
But
I totally strayed the Cheyenne photo.
Yeah.
So so I watched Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And then I texted Cheyenne probably like 11 o'clock at night. Hey, let's do a Pulp Fiction theme shoot.
Does she have a snake too?
She has a snake. Yeah, she has a pet snake. And this is at her house. And I text her that, and I think that the very next morning she's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me! I just had a dream about that movie. Where like I just watched that movie yesterday, or something like that. Like it was like, again, like just how in tune we are with each other. But it was just like a sense of like, okay, we're meant to do the shoot, you know.
Yeah.
And then we did it, and it definitely Uma Thurman, right? The cover right
absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, that one was a fun shoot, and that was a Drake cast. So that was before I got a show. I was just walking around this Drake cast all the time, so which I think gave it more of a cinema look too.
Yeah, no, this looks that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
that is really cool. And I see you've been like starting to put up some more like behind the scenes stuff too. It looked like
help. It's good content, performs well.
Yeah,
right. I think
people love seeing the process, man.
Because it's like I have a Google sheet where I'm tracking like here's how many times I post a day, here's how many leads come in, here's how much revenue I bring in, like here's how many comments I do, here's how many followers I get, and just try to figure out the data behind all that.
Yeah.
And I found if I post more per day, I get more leads coming in.
Yeah.
More leads coming in, there's a higher chance people will close.
Yep.
But trying to keep up with that by just doing pure photos, especially if I'm editing every single one, is gonna drag.
Yeah.
And cost a lot of money. So like, well, what can I do differently? Okay, well, as I shoot, I'll just put up my phone and record.
Which is
cool. I got
all
BTS
you need,
now.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why, and that a lot of like, that's the kind of stuff that blows up, you know. And it's not you don't always you don't need to go have a $20,000 setup to go shoot it. It's just like pull out your fucking phone.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad, Priscilla. Oh, man. Yeah, I've been trying to be better about that. Like, I had a music video yesterday where I finally remembered to set up my phone. Even just taking a couple quick stories, just doing some time lapse stuff, just something to show the shoot, because I feel like it's when I'm in the zone while I'm at the shoot, it's something that I just don't tend to really think about because my
Yeah.
focus is on the project at hand.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the like at least where we're at now in the creative space, you have to show these kind of things. Like you gotta take that extra step.
Yeah.
And also I think that gets people more excited to work with you too when
Mhm.
they see that kind of stuff, when they see the behind the scenes. Like
Yeah, because it's like there's a one I just if I pull back up with Eliza where
is the
it's the so it's the girl in the black leotard on the right, but there if you go to my reels, there's like a BTS of us working together for that shoot. Scroll down right there in the middle. So like with that one, like you're watching me direct, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do this, and it cuts like the next thing. It's like, okay, put your chin up. Okay, no, fix your head. Okay, do this. Do I hear? No, do this side. Okay, now like it's literally that, and you
Yeah.
see me work. But a big question people always ask me, like, "Oh, do you direct?" I'm like, "Yes."
yeah.
But it's like, and at the end of it, she'll be like, I'll show her the photo. She's like, "Oh my god, you're so good directing. How did you like?" Yeah, but I only showed like 10% of how we got that shot, which is me going like, no, chin up, no, do this. Okay, no, that's wrong. Okay, let me fix my light. Okay, let me put a V flat right here. Like,
Yeah.
bam. She's like, oh, I see what you're doing now. Like, yeah, but you're watching me like think out loud, trying to.
Which I think is
Get
cool
that.
too, just to hear that. And also then I think that it gives you more credibility too as a professional, because people
Yeah.
are like, yeah, like especially for someone coming in front of the camera who maybe has never done this before, that's just not like their normal thing they do.
Mhm.
Be like, all right, cool. I know if I work with this guy, like he's gonna be able to help me,
Yeah,
like look my best for this, you know?
yeah, and I was saying that's why the BTS is good because
Yeah.
it's not just like BTS throw some music on it and it's like you have this cool montage. It's like the literal BTS
Yeah.
of like problem solving.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Which I think, yeah, that's people love seeing that kind of stuff. Whether it's just whether it's a 5-second clip or whatever. People
Yeah.
just want to see. It's like it's nice to always obviously put up all your finished work and stuff too.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool to show off some of the like, hey, this is like just show off your process a little bit.
yeah, exactly.
Like, and it just really, because like everyone always puts everything up all so nice and polished. So it's nice seeing just. I'm trying to even do that more myself. Just being like, yeah, just be raw with it. Like, be real. Like, this is what
People like that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I used to do like video diaries, and I'll do like once a month. Like, hey everyone, how's it going on Instagram? And I'll run through like just random stuff for the month.
Yeah.
And they don't get a lot of engagement, but then I would meet people just at shoots and stuff. Be like, oh, I watched your video about you talking about this, and then like, oh, you actually watched it.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy! Like people are actually listening to me talking to the camera.
Because it's authentic, and people
Yeah.
can feel that kind of stuff. You can feel when somebody's not being authentic with it, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like, and sometimes I feel like
This is
when
kind
you're
of like
trying
my
to
vibe, so it's really easy
Yeah.
to
it's
dive
all like
into it,
this,
but
yeah,
This is
polish
so
up, like,
cool.
video, like,
Okay.
while it is
I
nice,
love that.
it doesn't.
Yeah, the hair thing
always
made a big
feel
difference.
as authentic.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it makes like lift off a little bit more, so you're not touching your feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Can you
leave
actually
the
bring
high
all your hair to
quality
the left
to my
over
phone,
to your
but
right
everything else.
I'm going to put your hand like
My
here and then
like the audio stuff.
push it
Like,
up.
that's how we got it.
Oh, okay.
On the
Yeah.
other side.
And I feel like basically
Yeah,
everything you
that's
see on
really
the channel
like-
is
I feel-
generated content. That's the camera that people got in their pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Sometimes, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, nothing's wrong with it. Yeah, I think use it. You know, and I think it's
Oh
also
my
hard
gosh,
to
I love you are so good at directing. I wouldn't have even known to.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
the-
like, I mean,
sometimes
one, this is
people
kind of
like
my
that
vibe,
too.
so it's really easy
Yeah.
to dive into it, but
creative
This is
stuff.
so cool.
While
Okay.
you're trying
I
to,
love
you want it to
that.
be so
Yeah, the hair thing made a
perfect,
big
it
difference.
stops you from even fucking doing it.
Okay.
and it makes like
I think it's
lift
better
off
just
a
to
little
do
bit
it.
more, so you're not touching your feet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Start implementing different processes.
Can you actually bring
It's always best
all your
to
hair to
just-
the left over to the
Yeah.
right side? I'm going to put your
Sit
hand
around and
like on
talk
here
about
and
it all
like
day,
push it up.
but I feel like
Oh,
Take your
okay.
feet wet.
On the other side?
Other side.
just be
Yeah,
like
and
that.
there's really like,
Yeah.
I feel
So I want to talk to you about too. I heard so you're what's going on? What's your next chapter?
Going into the army.
Right on.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. I leave Monday.
Jeez.
Technically Tuesday, but I have to be there on Monday to do MEPS.
Okay.
Join the army. It's so I have a wife and daughter, right? And we want to get a house and we
Yeah.
want stability. And right now the economy's really like, now that I'm older, I get what people say what that means.
Yeah.
And it's getting to a
Me
point where
too.
like we can keep paying our bills, but like I can do photography full time. Like
Yeah.
I am doing it now, but I'm just paying our bills. I'm not putting money into my retirement. I'm not putting money into buying our house. Like it's literally going to our rent, daycare, and our cat.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if something like I break my leg, well, I can't shoot anymore. You know,
Yeah.
if she loses her job, I can't pay the rent by ourselves. You know.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to figure like, well, what can we do, right? And like I've worked a few jobs here to like bring in extra money, but like it's still not sustainable like long term. And so we like looked into the army, like benefits and stuff like that. And I was like, oh shit, they're gonna pay for daycare. I'll get my rent paid. I'll get regular paycheck. That's not bad. We'll get a VA loan. We can buy a house, and like the way we have it set up, we might be able to get it in a year.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't want to put all this on hold.
Yeah.
But you know, I also have a family to take care of.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's not like you're like saying goodbye to it forever. Like sometimes you gotta take a step back from it too. Like which I don't know. I mean, I think that shows like maturity in a sense as well.
Thanks,
too.
man.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not just because I feel like I don't know. Some people get caught up in there. Like also a lot of people just want to like go like I want to be full time. That's it. Well, I'm like Also before I was doing I did bartended. I was a waiter. I did delivery. I did all sorts of weird odd end jobs. I would go sell stuff on eBay and like get shit from garage sales. Like, just whatever I could do to like make money to get by. But like,
gotta figure it out.
I mean, it just sometimes I don't know. There was definitely months where I didn't pick up a camera at all. You know, that's how it is. But I think if it's something you really are passionate about and you do love, it'll come back to you. Like, no doubt.
Yeah, and that's why photography is stuck. Because like guitar, I was really into that, and I put that down. And when I come back to it, it just didn't feel the same. Yeah. But photography would be like I work at a job and we touch a camera for months, and someone needs a headshot. Like, oh, I can do headshots.
It's like riding a bike, man. It's like it's second nature for you. It feels right. You know?
Yeah, and it wasn't until 2021 or 2020 I was like starting to get back into it, and then I said I'm gonna go quit my job and just do photography. Yeah. And once I did that, I was able to like make it work. And I
I feel like is nice because it kind of like once you kill that safety net a little bit, it's like you feel that fire in your ass.
Figure it out,
that's what. And sometimes that fire in your ass is a good thing. Like now, it's nice to not always feel like panic, but like that little panic at first gets you. I think it gives you that boost to push ahead. You're like, all right, I gotta step outside my comfort zone.
There was like I was working at another job recently, and like I didn't like it, but I was making money. So okay, cool. You know, like I don't have time for other stuff, but I'm good. And then but you could just kind of like maybe I wasn't aware, but like sometimes you just know when things are off, like in your life.
You can feel it.
Yeah, and I was watching like an Alan Watts video, and he was like something. Life is living on the needle, and when you're on that needle, that's when you're truly alive. And I was like, oh yeah. So should I like get in debt or something? Like what do I do to like get this going? Yeah. And like a week later I got fired. And I was like, shit. Like I think this is what I asked for, but I don't want to be in this position now. Now I gotta figure it out, you know? And but it pushed me into getting better at photography too, you know, like
you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, I think is the biggest thing. And especially it's a weird job because I mean, now I have monthly clients, but it wasn't something like I always had before. Like where you have like something
everything's one off.
It's you might have months where you're working end to end, and then there might be like a couple week lull or even a month lull where you're just nothing's really coming through the door, you know. So it can be stressful, no doubt. It's not a job for the faint of heart. That's for sure. You gotta have some faith too. I feel like. But
you have to hustle because it's a hustling job, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's what comes like back to that deadline thing. Like if you're stressing out about getting clients and you finally get a client and then you're just disrespecting the opportunity by just like letting it fall apart, like come on, man, like you fought a lot to get here.
And that's why I feel like too. It's so sad to see that because I'm like like if you could just look back at like your like younger self, your past self, whatever, just you would be so stoked to be where you're at now, and then just to like somebody because there's so many other people who do what we do. So the fact that somebody's willing to like trust you with that and they're like, I want to give you that shot. Like I look at each one. It's like an opportunity to grow. Yeah. To better yourself, better your craft. And I don't know. I just feel like some people don't, they kind of get, they get lost in the
Yeah.
mix between starting from the creative passion to then turning into a business. And I think, cause, I mean, I feel like we see so many new people pop up in the industry, which is fine. I said, I don't know, some people will say like, aren't you worried about all the competition? I'm like,
No.
no, exactly. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
you see these people, I'm like, they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. Like, it doesn't, there's
Yeah.
not, they don't have anything, there's no consistency, there's nothing to back it up with.
Yeah, and in a way, that was my fear. 'Cause I feel like I was like off camera, just talking a lot of shit about people come and go too.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, like, oh, I'm joining the army. I'm kind of doing that. I have my reasons, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
But then the more people I talk to, it's like, there's so many people in the army that need photos. You're gonna travel. It's like, oh shit, I saw
Exactly.
this as like an end, but I guess it's like even Courtney was
the
like,
whole new chapter, two different things. And that's like, you can still bring that skills, like your different passions that you had from your photography career
Yeah.
and still continue that on too,
yeah. So like the way I'm looking at it, it's like I definitely my job I'm getting is it's definitely I go international a lot. It's like, oh
Yeah.
cool, if I get stationed somewhere for a year, I could shoot people there, like book my own shoots. But that becomes the evolution of K Digital. So like, oh okay,
Yeah.
cool. Damn, I'm gonna come back to San Diego. Like we're gonna try buy our house here, but still
Yeah.
like I'm gonna miss it. But this is gonna, like you said, this is the next chapter.
Well, that's why I think, I mean, really, yeah, like this could lead you to something bigger than you even thought
Yeah.
beforehand with this kind of stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's always scary because you're like, it's the uncertainty of it. You're just like, I don't,
Yep.
like, oh man, like we're making some big changes. Like, I don't know. But like, I think if it is something you are passionate about, and you obviously are, it's going to follow along with you.
Yeah.
You can't shake that shit off.
Yeah.
But so I think you'll find, like there's going to be new opportunities
Yeah.
to work with this, I just it just always at first, because you're like, I don't know, everyone's mind tends to go to the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
Or like, you're like, God, I'm not gonna find this, or man, I'm not gonna get to do what I love anymore. But like, you still can. You might just have to work a little bit. Like, you're just gonna have to find a way to make it work in your new situation, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. You have to adapt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, one thing I talked about too: move, adapt, or die. But you got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you definitely, if it's something you love and you enjoy creating, you'll find a new way to create. You'll find ways to do that. It's not I don't think it's like the end of anything.
Yeah.
Well, and I wouldn't really say it's like you have legitimate reasons for, like, it's not like you're just like,
Yeah. I can't make it work.
I just don't feel like editing anything this week.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Like, because I feel like there's some people like that where I'm like, nah, man, I got to be inspired to create. I'm like, all right, like,
I've heard that line. Yeah.
like, all right, then, like, I don't think you shouldn't be charging people money for this shit then. Or if you are, then you need to like be like, hey, you know what? This might take 3 days, or it might take me 3 months. I got no idea.
Yeah.
Like, and if that's what you start off with off the bat, and somebody wants to keep working with you, run with it. But chances are, you tell somebody that, they're not gonna fucking want to work with you. Like
I think a good tip, if like for photographers getting out there, I want to start. If you don't like editing and you're just trying to like play around, don't collab with models. Just pay them. Because if you pay them, you don't have to give them edits. You could just pay them and you're good. And you could just let that. Like I've done that where I'll pay someone and I'll sell the edits for like 8 months just because I don't want to edit, where I have other work to do.
Yeah.
But then 8 months comes along, like, cool, I need content. Now I have something to go back on. Where like I'll maybe try to edit a couple photos and I don't like these. And then I'll go back like, oh, the problem wasn't the photos. I just didn't know how to edit at that time. Okay, now I could do this differently. You could always collab. That's going to be probably easier for some people.
Absolutely.
But now you're on the hook for edits. And if you don't deliver the edits, now you just ruined your brand. So you gotta, it's not one's better than the other, it's just there are trade-offs. But if you also pay models and they're good models, you can also get quality photos,
I feel like too, I've always, like, at least with paid models, it is like night and day working with them, especially for like, if it's like a brand shoot or something. Cause I'm like, they know how to pose themselves. It's not like, they know how to make themselves look good on camera, which means you don't have to sit there and like coach somebody along the entire way. It definitely makes a big difference.
Like it's like anything. Like if you can,
there's like a level of confidence, I think, too, that comes with that as well. So I feel like sometimes when you're working with people who aren't comfortable like that you can, and it's understandable, like, but you can feel like it's just not, they don't feel like their most confident self at that time.
Yeah. And those are generally ones are the collab shoots, right? Because like it is an exchange. It's not just edits. Like you're giving the experience, you're giving opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's also probably a low level of like stress. But like if you're paying someone, it's like you're paid a high quality photographer. Like they understand they're a professional and they're also paying for that. Like if you want to pull a photo, Knee fam
Not bad.
Very good.
It's all zeros.
Sorry, if I was like, do this, do that. No.
Nah, Gmail makes me like, for some reason I have to have a passcode on my phone, which I hate having a passcode on my phone because
I want to access it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm the only one that's looking at it.
Yeah. In the top right with the rows. So she's from Michigan. She's a traveling model, and I've always been wanting to work with her. She's like a fan of her work.
Yeah.
And she, this was back last year, she was in LA. It's like, hey, can you go down to San Diego? She's like, cool, but yeah, here's how much it costs for a flight from LA to San Diego. I'm like, ah, shit. Okay, I'm in or I'm out, because it's kind of the opportunity to finally. I'll get budgets, like I'll kind of reinvest my money I put back in, but I'll try to let it stack up a bit, and then naturally, cool, like I want to do a project, and I know at some point this money's going to disappear in one way or another, and I'd rather use it now before I have to like, oh, something came up and I have to spend the money now.
Yeah.
I could still do that, but at least I can put it on a credit card. But like booking someone, you can't pay a model with a credit card.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I was like, hey, I have some money set aside. I already have a deck made. Hey, y'all, how much does the flight cost? So I paid for her. I paid for her flight to come down. And we did the shoot, like 2-hour shoot at Hendo Studios. And
that's
like
awesome.
One of my favorite shoots was like the magic of bringing someone that like you don't have to, like you're directing as you maybe tweaking a bit, but like the bulk of the work is she's the professional doing it.
Exactly. That's, I mean, like you still are going to have that collaborative process come into play too, where you are like giving some direction, but like, yeah, like when you are working with somebody who is a professional model, it changes everything. It really like, 'cause you're bringing two powerful creatives together at that point.
Yeah. You know? Like if you have a band and like the only good person is the guitarist, like it's going to be limited. The guitarist can do some, but it's not going to carry. But if you have like a really good guitarist and a really good drummer, like the magic is going to change.
Exactly. The synchronicity with it all.
Yeah.
When I was even thinking too, when you were saying before about for like some tips for like people starting out, and like, I think also like it's like I did a lot of, just like free work too at first to get started, just to kind of get my portfolio. Yeah. Like doing collab stuff. But then also, like if I was trying to maybe like work with restaurants or I wanted to get into product photography, you got to offer stuff for free. Not everyone, but a lot of people want to get paid professional dollars off the bat when they don't have any portfolio to back up their work. Yeah. Like you can give somebody a resume and say like, I've been doing this for this long, but like we're in a visual arts career. So if you don't have something to fucking show, no one wants to look at your piece of paper with a bunch of fucking text on it. They want to see what you can do. Yeah. Like you got to have, whether it's just a slideshow, whatever, like you just got some pictures and folded, just something to like, you got to show people what you can really do. So I think a good way to get your feet wet is doing free work. And again, you have to know that jumping off point too, where you're like, all right, I got the confidence, I got the portfolio, I feel confident to go out and actually charge for these things, you know? But like at first, I mean, you might just end up working for like a free meal or something, you know? It's a start. Yeah. It's everyone gets started. It's like your version of an internship. Like that's really all it is. Some people don't want to do that. Like I shouldn't get paid. We're like, yeah, you should, but also I think you're underestimating the value of that experience. Well, and that's why I did. Like in college, we had to do one internship just for like our senior year, but I ended up doing an extra one just because I was like, I don't know. Like granted they were both unpaid and it was just me like shooting all summer for free, but I learned so much from doing that, and I really from doing all that free stuff, I built more skills and like I built more confidence in my ability to like edit, and also just my ability to like work with other people and help put together projects as well. Yeah, like it's so, because I feel like as a creative too, you tend to kind of like you shell yourself off a little bit. You're not everybody, like you tend to kind of stick to your own thing, but also being in a business too, you need to learn how to communicate with others, and not just like, you got to be able to communicate effectively. Yeah. So that, yeah. Agreed. Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, about here at the end, is there anything else you would like to talk about? You got coming up? Anything planned before you're heading out? Last thing's coming out. No, this is my last day. This is my last project with that. I mean, I have some edits I have to wrap up, but I'm taking the week off to be with my wife, and then leave Monday. I'll be in basic training for 10 weeks. Okay. But for my job, my training altogether will last until December. Okay. I think they'll give me my phone back after basic training, so I can probably start posting again. But
yeah, just be on the lookout for this. I have like this podcast with you. That's cool. James, I think his Instagram is jcs visuals. We'll have our documentary coming out. I think that's it, man. I think this
Dude.
ended on this note.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming down. I appreciate you for taking time out too. I know you got a lot coming up, so it really means a lot that you take some time down to come talk to me.
I appreciate it. I'm sad this is over. I was enjoying the conversation. I understand we got to wrap it up, right? But it's like I generally enjoyed this conversation.
We'll do it again, man. For sure. Especially when you come back, I think it'll be cool to kind of like revisit. Yeah, let's revisit this conversation again.
For sure.
Get back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming down, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
Appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 2 of Zeke's World. My guest, Kris from KD Digitals. I said KD. K Digitals. I apologize. But you got his tag. Priscilla, we put his tag here. Beautiful.
Bam.
K_digitals. Follow him on Instagram. I'm coming back with some heat. He's going to be shooting around the world, so get ready for that. But thank you guys for tuning in, and have a good day.